Nearly 100 people paint this scene in watercolor. How different can they be? Which ones do you like and why? Hello, I'm Tim Wilmot, watercolor painter and tutor, and on a very regular basis, I organise regular online workshops. This is a compilation of attendee paintings from the February 2023 online workshop. And we painted the scene here, Watermouth Bay or Watermouth Harbour in North Devon in the UK. Almost a sort of contre jour type scene. So we're looking into the light. We have silhouetted shapes. We have little bits of light hitting the tops of different objects. If I can just unpick the scene for you. So that, as I say, it's Watermouth Harbour, North Devon coast. And in the background, you'd be forgiven for missing it. We've got the castle there and some distant wooded hills coming closer to us. We've got some regularly spaced trees. This is the outer perimeter of the harbour area. And then we've got some yachts here up on the harbour, here. And the main feature of this yellowish yacht with the light, that light hitting the top of the cabin. A bit of a snaking path of this path on the left-hand side, leading us into the composition, and then coming across the foreground and going down to the sea. The sea is over to our right, so this is like a little slipway there. That little bit of a slope, that's a slipway to get down to the harbour proper, over to my right. And then coming towards the foreground, we've got the ground is strewn with just rubble and pebbles and boulders. A little bit of a stream coming down here as well. Perhaps painting-wise, you could pick up on a few extra details. The upturned boats. We include a figure in the scene. So I'm going to go through the paintings one by one in alphabetical order and try and... Honestly, it's just my own thoughts as regards my feelings on a painting, pick up on the positives and maybe some things that could be, in my opinion, could be improved next time around. Now, as we look at these paintings, please bear in mind that these are photographed on the painter's own device. Might be a mobile phone, might be a camera, so there'd be different settings. And on the whole, just bear in mind that the different settings. But on the whole, it will be, I guess that they're very often quite dark. And so just think that painting could be a little bit lighter. And also the definition may not be correct. The colours may not come up 100% true as well. So just bear in mind these different devices that people are using to take a photo from. So I'll go through my painting first of all, and then we'll go through the attendee paintings. If you want to take part in these regular events, then just pop up to my event page, which is on at www.crowdcast.io/@ like the email symbol at Tim Wilmot, and you'll see the next events coming up, and you can still take part in the old events and if you submit a photo of your painting to me, I'll give you a little video critique. So we'll go through mine first of all, and then we'll go through the attendee paintings. So this is my painting from the actual event. On the whole, I'm pleased with it. Kept it to a fairly loose style. You can see a couple of things I changed with the scene. I introduced a little white boat there, resting on the harbour bed, but the opportunity for having something light against a darker background, I think, works really well. And then a figure on the left-hand side, just to balance things up on the left-hand side, a figure over there. Didn't bother with that castle. With a blink of the eye, you just miss it there. So excluded that. Kept the background a little bit lighter as well, bluer, cooler, lighter, pushing it back maybe just a little bit further. There's the field between the woods and the perimeter of the harbour. And then the main feature of the yacht. There, tried to, on the actual event, I tried to explain why it's not a good idea to have something, have an important focal point right bang in the middle of the composition, trying to just subtly move it to the left or the right. And I think I've achieved that by pushing it more to the left, making a little bit more of the feature of the distant shore ground, and then picking up on the little bits of light hitting boulders and stones and rubble on this little beach here at the top of the harbour. And then there's that stream coming down through there through a little archway, and I accentuated the curve of the pathway as well, just to make more of a feature of that and sort of leading the viewer's eye into the area of the harbour. So there we are. That's my effort. Let's go through the attendee paintings one by one. So here is Anna's. Nice composition. You've got the figure in and the little boat on the right-hand side like me. It's nice loose style. I like the brush marks that you've made as well. I think with these little brush marks, these little dots and dabs all over the place, just try and not have them too equally spaced. I think down here in this bottom right corner, try and make them a bit more random, I would say. And also that channel there, the little stream coming out, try and make it a little bit more sinuous, a bit more curvy. But it's a lovely scene. You captured the light on top of that yacht. The boat is really well drawn. Good job with the figure and the doggy there. A little bit of light hitting that boat against the darker hull. Excellent. Thank you, Anna. Annette. Oh, Anna, you got the castle in. Well done. And two figures as well. Lovely scene. Now, I'm not sure if the perspective is there. We should be a little bit, we should have the feeling of being a little bit flatter, I think, in the middle ground here. But you did a really good job on these boats. The light hitting the top of that boat there, that little boat on the right-hand side. Good job also on those cars, the vehicles that we saw in the car park. And those figures are excellent. Yeah, well done. Nice one, Annette. And Barb. Well, very loose. Just watch the little bit of overworking, Barb, on the shadow on this side of that retaining wall of the harbour and going down there. You've got, I guess you've got a bit more of a slope than the source photo. That doesn't matter. I like the way that you've kept it vague in the bottom left-hand corner with that pathway, and we can't actually see the sort of edge of that pathway. I think that works really well. Good job on the figure. Nice bit of movement in that figure. That's an excellent figure. Really, really good. And the way that the shadow is connected with the figure, I like that as well. Boat, fantastic. That yacht is fantastic. The background, really, really good. Trees, beautiful edge to them. The way that you've use your brush mark on the edge of the canopy trees, really good. Gives a bit of movement to those trees. Well done, Barb. And Betty. Oh, I think that Betty's photo might be a little bit out of focus. Now we've got, it's very well drawn. Good job on the perspective. I think that mast might be just a little bit too thick, just a tiny bit too thick. And also with the rigging, just trying to make it too kind of symmetrical, have a little bit of a lost and found. But I really like the way that you've done the background, just the right value, pushes it back, these four trees in the middle ground there, the woody slopes on the right-hand side. You've gone for more of a yellowish boat on that right-hand side rather than the white boat. And we've got some figures lurking below, nice silhouetted figures lurking below that yacht. Oh, and I just spotted a figure over there on the left, someone walking the dog. Now, I missed that. Now, perhaps Betty, maybe just consider moving that figure just a little bit. You know, if the figure was there, I think that would work better. But a lovely painting. Well done, Betty. Bruno, what a superb yacht. And you've zoomed in on it. I love the colours of the yacht and also the detail of the cabin as well. Very, very nice indeed, with all that sort of glazing and the way that you've done the framing of the cabin as well. Excellent. And moving it just slightly right of centre also, not bothering that little white boat that I mentioned that I put in my painting. Good job also on the cars and vehicles in the actual harbour there. And very authentic. You often get these sort of Volkswagen little mobile homes there, surfers and people visiting the beach. Quite a common sort of vehicle to see. Nice loose approach of the pathway as well. Excellent painting, well done. Buck, let's just zoom in here. Buck. Yeah, I guess like Bruno, you've zoomed in on that boat there. I love the way that you've done the boat. Very good job with the rigging. Also, figures very, very good. Also, and the pathway leading around. You've got that boat sort of facing towards us. I think that also. Is that too much on the right-hand side? No, I think that works really well. I like the way it sort of blends into the background also. You've gone quite dark and mysterious at the base of those woods. And then we have a big contrast with the light of that rooftop that's facing us. That works also. Excellent, well done. Thanks very much, Buck. And Chada. I love those brush marks of those trees. Excellent. These little brush marks here, the brush shape that you've done. Nice and loose, nothing overworked. Perhaps we could have got a little bit more light somewhere on that left-hand side there. It might be just a tiny bit too dark, but I think you got the perspective right, the curve of the pathway, excellent figure. The stones and boulders on that beach as well. Nice warm touch, nice warm feeling of that stream there, nice edge to it. And perhaps the cabin of that boat might be just a little bit too big, but nice feature of the boat there, just at the base of those woods on that right-hand side. Yeah, nice one. Well done, Chada. And Christy. Very nice. Again, I love the way that you've done those trees. And you've got them different sizes as well, rather than equally sized, equally spaced. You've got a nice grouping of trees, a little bit more natural to it. Good figures as well, walking towards the scene. Perhaps this right-hand figure, the legs just stand out a little bit too much. I like the one on the left-hand side, a bit softer, but slightly lighter in the value, and we've got more of a sense of movement there, I think, on that one. Nice bit of movement with the water coming out from the little tunnel there as well. With the vehicles, just a little point, but maybe the wheel of that van there might be just a little bit more to the left, I reckon, just a tiny bit. But lovely vehicles that you've got there. A bit of light, of course, with contre-jour, we're looking into the light. And you've sneaked in that white boat there. Actually, I would, with hindsight, that boat there on the right-hand side, just a little bit too much on the right-hand side. I wouldn't bother with that. Your cars would suffice to have, as an object over there on that right-hand side. Beautiful painting, well done. Thanks very much, Christy. And Colin. Now, you've kept it quite light in the background. I think it's a little bit empty, empty-ish in that background. Perhaps we could have a few more of your trees in there, Colin. And also the trees, perhaps try and take them above the background so they're not sort of in line. The top of the trees are not in line with the top of the wood behind it as a suggestion. The yacht here is fantastic. Brilliant job on the yacht. Good shape to it, and that boat on the left-hand side as well. You've got a little bit more of that boat on the left-hand side than I had in. The light hitting that rooftop there. Not sure what that is down there. I wouldn't have bothered with it. And good job on the beach as well. Excellent. Bit of light hitting the stream also. Lovely painting. Well done, Colin. And Dave. Dave J. I might have a few Daves. I sometimes label, put in the first letter of your last name. Yeah, lovely tonal contrast on this one. Beautiful shadow on that retaining wall. The slightly warm shadow on the wall itself. And then the shadow of that wall, or the shady side of the wall is warm, but the shadow of the wall has gone cooler. I think that works really well. Good job on the yacht. Perhaps the top of it could be just a little bit more horizontal. And the figure, good figure, but maybe the head is a tiny bit too large, or the neck is a little bit tall. So perhaps I zoom in there. Perhaps the head could have been a bit more like that. And maybe a slightly slimmer figure, perhaps, over there. But it's got good movement. Put something over there on that left-hand side. Lovely dark trees, beautiful brush marks as well, like many of the others have done. Just a sort of tantalizing view of the fields behind. Lovely background as well, background trees. Yeah, well done, Dave J. And, we didn't have another Dave. There we go. Caught me out. Dina. Right. Oh, I like the way the yacht is pointing up. That's a nice, it's a good idea to have the yacht sort of pointing up to the sky, and with the bow there, it's sort of caught against the light. We've got the cabin more against the light. Just watch the lighter cabin against the darker background. Just a slightly overdone of the background trees. I reckon, now I don't know what brush you use for those trees, but perhaps I would say use a bigger brush and try not to overwork it. Try and keep it fresh, all right? Good figures though, nice bunch of figures. We've got one there, one walking towards us, bunch of cars as well. Oh, we've got no, I know, on the source photo there was a tractor, wasn't there? That was over there on that right-hand side. What an excellent thing to have in. And yeah, again, we've got that bit of light against the darker background. Excellent, well done. Thanks, Dina. Edward. Yeah, good job on the drawing and the perspective. You've made more of a feature of that rooftop of I think it's the Harbour Masters building on the right-hand side, just on the edge of the harbour. I like these figures here. It's a feeling of like a slightly crouched figure there. I think that works really well. I'm not sure if that was the intention, but we've got a standing figure there, maybe walking towards the boat, and a bit of a crouching figure there. Loose way that you've done that yacht, catching the light beautifully. The way that you've done your brush marks of the beach as well. Maybe we haven't got the hard edges to define those different boulders and things on that beach, but I think it's really, really good, the effect that you've got there, a bit of splattering as well. The light boat. Just watch for the white boat here. I think the window might be just a tiny bit too big. Yeah, well done, Edward. Thank you. And Fauzia. So good placement of the boat. I think it might be just a little bit too fussy on the top of the boat. Maybe with your brush marks, Fauzia, perhaps too much of the dry brush marks. I'm not sure where you were working. Maybe was it a little bit too dry? Were things drying a little bit too quick for you? But just watch that dry brush mark and just a slight overworking of it. Also try and get in, maybe that pathway could be just a little bit lighter as well, all right? But you've got some beautiful colours in here. I love that colour of the yacht as well. Nice sort of orangey, yellowy glow to it. The value of the background trees, brilliant. Nice brush marks in those trees, look at that. And exactly, we can see here, you've gone over the edge onto the the edge, but that's a nice way to take it up there and not have it sort of directly in line with the edge of the paper. Just move it up and cover it and connect these different objects as we see. Nice placement of that white boat there on the right-hand side as well. And the feeling of the gradient of the top part of that beach there, sloping down towards the water. Nice colours, also if I zoom in here, nice colours, nice transparency that you've got of different layers, greens, browns, reds, a little bit of blue there as well. Well done, Fausia. Isabel. Yeah, I like it. Lovely range of values that you've got. The darkness of the bottom of the hull against the lighter bit of the boat. The yacht is very well drawn. I like the way that you've done the trees. I can see that you've worked on those trees quite a lot and maybe done a little bit of lifting, added some cools in there as well. But beautiful brush marks, beautiful brush shapes, the shape of your brush and the brush marks that you've done in there, and the edge of those trees as well. Just to zoom into, see how far I can zoom in. Like that whole area there, and bits of light showing through as you would get with a tree. A bit denser in the middle of the canopy. Yeah, well done. Nice one. Thanks, Isabel. And Joe. Now, Joe, you've changed that scene on the left-hand side. You kind of simplified it on the left-hand side. We've got that single sort of boat there. I think it works really well. Perhaps it's just a little bit too empty. We could have some different objects, cars and things filling in the area behind the yacht, but the yacht is really well drawn. You've had the figures on the right-hand side, so more in that middle position. I think that works as well. I love this stream coming out. You've got more of a movement in that water and a bit of froth on the disturbance in that river as it comes down. I think that's very effective. And you've gone with the building on the right-hand side. You've gone with a darker roof, but the lighter walls of the building. I think that works equally as well. With the figures, try and avoid that lighter edge around the figures, all right? The right-hand edge of the right-hand figure works well, but we've got this a bit of a light gap. Makes them stand out just a little bit too much. So try and because those figures are darker against a lighter background, don't worry about, with the wash, painting around those figures, just with that mark there. Just go right over those figures where the figures are, so that we don't end up with that little bit of an edge. Kazim. Oh, I love that green. That sort of yellowy, bright green there of the field. Beautiful. And the figures. They're having a chat. They've got the workman's clothes on. Maybe I would have them. It looks a little bit like twins here. Perhaps have them slightly differently dressed, Kazim, just as a suggestion. But they're so perfectly placed, and there's a bit of a story going on here. They're discussing maybe the painting of this yacht and having a little bit of discussion on how to do that. Beautiful yacht. Your beach is fantastic. These little pebbles and boulders standing out there. If I zoom in, these little pebbles, and as I zoom in closer, we can see a bit more detail. Fantastic. Yeah, your beach is fantastic. Lovely texture on that beach. Well done, Kazim. Lauren. Very loose. I like it. Yeah, perhaps the perspective isn't strictly correct there on the right-hand side. Perhaps we could be just a little bit more level on that, in that middle area there, Lauren. But I do like it. You haven't gone for really dark darks, but you've got some darkness in the bottom of that wood there and the darkness of the hull. I really do like the style of this. Lovely. Yeah, the little sort of brush marks that you've got here and there, like that one. Almost like calligraphy in a way. The way that you've got those brush shapes and those brush marks. Good job on the figure as well. Thank you. Thanks, Lauren. And next one. Lillian. Now, I think Lillian's photo might be a little bit out of focus, so please excuse that. But you've got some nice soft edges. There's no real hard edges, so you've got more of a, maybe a slightly dullish day. You know, we don't have that bright sunlight that I have with mine, but more of a dullish day, softer edges, the figure walking towards us, not away, walking towards us. The yacht, you haven't gone for that sort of garish, yellowish yacht. You've gone more of a subtle, darker, warmer tone to that yacht. Certainly it is yacht light. Love that boat on the left-hand side. And also the way that you've got just a little bit of lightness in the middle of the hull. Dark at the top, dark at the bottom, a bit of light in the middle there. Yeah, slightly different approach. As I said at the beginning, you know, when you attend my workshops, you don't need to paint in my style. You do your own thing. You want to go, you know, soft and dull and a duller light condition, then go for it. No problem at all. Right, Lynn. Back to some sunlight. Yep, nice, bright, bold watercolor. Great figures, nice placement of the yacht as well. With the wheels of the vehicles, I wouldn't make them so dark. It makes them stand out just a little bit too much, all right? I think when we're looking into the light, contre-jour like this, maybe we would just see the vehicles a little bit darker, but certainly we wouldn't be able to see so much of the wheels, so just tone them down a bit. Lovely greens in the background. Those trees are fantastic. Rubble on the beach as well. Nothing overworked. Yeah, excellent. I do like your figures, especially those two there with the dog. Oh, that dog, I would just try and get a little bit of a shadow on there just to try and connect the dog with the ground a bit more. Excellent. Well done, Lynn. And another Lynn. Lynn with an E. Let's get this placed correctly. Right, so you've moved that yacht over to the right-hand side. You've got a couple of figures on the right and 3 on the left. I like these little vertical marks that you've got. I'm not sure exactly what some of them are, but I think it works really well. Trying to connect those different bands, those different horizontal bands of the painting. Bit more of a flattish nature to the background hills as well. I love the way that you've got those background hills, bit of a wood on the crest of the hill, and then those lengthy shadows going across the field. You've made more of a feature of this pathway coming around to the right-hand side. Yeah, a slightly different take on the scene. Well done, Lynn. And Mike F. Yeah, good placement of the yacht. I like these brush marks with a little bit of light between those marks. I probably wouldn't have gone so light just at the base of the hull there. Keep the light to the top of the cabin there, rather than just underneath there. So not so dark there, but I do like these brush marks and the little bit of light. It makes the it adds to the texture of that retaining wall there, where you've got the little bits of light between those stones and boulders. Perhaps that boat on the right hand side, just too much on that immediate right hand side. When I did my white boat on the right hand side, I thought, is that too much on that right hand side? I think I might have got away with it, but that's just a little bit too much. That's a perfect boat there, and too good to be sort of almost off the right-hand side of the scene. The foliage colour is fantastic on this. The coolness of the background wood and these nearby trees as well. Yeah, you've gone for more of a sort of solid approach to those trees. I think it works well. I love that effect there, this watercolour effect down there on that taller, slimmer tree. Right, Mike. Yeah, I like it. You've gone for some really dark trees, again, like many of the others. Beautiful brush marks on those trees, and being very economical with those brush marks, I think. Beautiful curve of the pathway, replicating the colour of the top of the pathway almost to the colour of the boat. That boat is really good. I'd be tempted to, where you see the little pencil lines, just rub those out when everything is dry, Mike. Just go over with your rubber and just rub those out. Good figure there on the left, and good job on the beach as well. Yeah, excellent. Well done. Thanks very much, Mike. Pablo. There's a nice warm glow to this. Now you've reinterpreted the scene quite a lot here. I can see those figures on the left-hand side are fantastic. Maybe they just stand out just a little bit too much in that they could be the way that they're sort of lit up. If the light is coming from that top left corner, maybe those figures we would. They wouldn't be so bright, perhaps, but those figures are fantastic, and that one as well, carrying the plank of wood. These boats just a little bit overworked. I would have them a little bit more horizontal as well, not sort of pointing upwards. Have them a little bit more horizontal, so perhaps the tops of the boats would be like that, and then we have the boat coming around like that, and then perhaps the furthest boat maybe just a little bit lower, something like that. Yeah, just watch a little bit of overworking there, and in some of the trees as well. We don't need that boat down there, and also I would think there's a bit too much of the white paint, possibly a bit too thick of the white paint down there of that other boat. But a good, nice idea, having something there in the bottom right-hand corner just to fill that space a little bit more. And also, it's pointing into the scene, which is always a good thing to do. You know, these figures are pointing into the scene. This one here in the middle, walking towards this figure here near the middle, walking towards the middle. Nice placement of those different objects. Well done. Ravi B. Let's just get this right. Ravi B. Yeah, beautiful scene. Nice place from the boat. Good job on the perspective as well. The pathway here. Right, so we've got a nice curvature of the pathway. Perhaps we could get the feeling of that pathway bit just being a little bit more level, I would say. All right, as it comes around there. But you got the overall perspective right. Lovely background trees as well. These taller trees in the at the edge of the car park, they're very good also. Yeah, nice placement of everything. With these shadows, with these darker shadows coming down here, I would go for more of a softer edge around some of those, so don't make them stand out so much. Maybe a little bit more like there. We've got a bit more of a softer edges going in there, Ravi. But it's a beautiful paint. That yacht is well done. Really well done. Great figure as well. Yeah, well done. Thanks very much, Ravi. And Ricardo. Now, Ricardo's photo, I think, is a little bit too dark. So just imagine, everyone, just imagine it's a little bit lighter. Good perspective. I think the yacht might be just a little bit too deep, maybe, just a tiny bit too deep. But the foliage is fantastic, the way that you've got those different layers, you've got the background hills, the middle ground trees are really good in shape. With the mast, perhaps try and avoid the mast being right in the middle of the tree. So that mast there is sort of in the middle of that tree, that mast there in the middle of that tree. I know it wasn't your intention, but maybe just try and sneak them over a little bit, or move the trees. Just try and plan it out a bit more. I like that figure there. Really good figure, lurking in the shadows, coming towards us. Maybe a dog down there, bottom left-hand corner, not so sure. And got a nice warm feeling to the foreground as well, and that bit of glow and light in that bottom right-hand corner also works really well. Thanks very much, Ricardo. Roger, nice and bold and bright. Yeah, I like it. Good job on the placement of the yacht. Maybe that building there on the right-hand side might be just leaning a little bit downhill. So just try, I think that could be just, would look better being a bit more horizontal. With the trees, too much of the dry brush mark, I reckon. They've got a nice shape to them. I like that tree there, but try and make them not look too perfectly shaped. And this bigger one here, too much of the dry brush mark. Background hills, though, are brilliant. The values that you've got there on the back are brilliant, Roger. A nice touch also with the seagulls and the seabirds here also, which would be just adding to the feeling of being by the sea. Good figure as well. Nice boat there on the right-hand side. And these boulders also on the ground. Also with the boulders, perhaps try and have different shaped boulders rather than that sort of triangular shape. Just try and mix up and maybe get into some rounder ones and squarish ones. You know what I mean. Nice shape of the pathway though, really, really good. And that yacht is superbly painted. Very, very good indeed. Well done, Roger. Thank you. And Sally. Yeah, so the drawing and painting of the yacht is very good. I just think there's a little bit of, I'm not sure if it's the photo or some kind of filtering going on, but it looks a little bit greenish in a way. You know, the pathway there, a little bit of green I detect. I'm not sure if the photo is correct, but just a little bit green on that beach there. But the greenery above is fantastic. We've got it looks like a bit of wind here with the way that you've got the right-hand edge of those trees. Looks like a bit of wind coming over from that would be the east over to the left. Those figures are fantastic there. Good sense of movement, bit of a lean to that figure as well. The yacht, very well drawn and painted. The stream as well. I like the way that your stream sort of comes out and then it sort of fizzles out as it would do, where it kind of would be soaking into the surface of the beach. Yeah, well done. Thanks very much, Sally. And Sarah. Yeah, Sarah, you've gone for more of a sort of the middle values, the mid-tone approach. There's no real big darks, no real big lights. I think that yacht needs to be connected to the ground a bit more. So at the base, consider having a bit more of a shadow in there to connect it, all right, with the ground. Those figures are excellent, very, very good indeed. Sense of movement. That yacht there is very, very good indeed. And a bit of splattering going on with the beach, which is just right. And a bit of supports there to retaining wall. You haven't bothered with that building on the right-hand side. It doesn't need it. You kind of zoomed in there on that yacht. Now the yacht's in the middle, but it's balanced very, very well with the figures and that lighter boat on the left-hand side. So if it was just that boat on its own, it would look a little bit sort of too perfect, being right in the middle of the composition, and a little bit sort of lonely in a way. But I think the addition of those figures in that boat there works really well. Well done. Sarah. Again, another bold and bright painting. You've gone for some real darks of the background trees or middle ground trees and the right-hand wood. Maybe we're sloping just a little bit too much down there on the right-hand side. Nice light boat there against the darker background. Those vehicles, fantastic. The yacht, brilliant as well. Connected with the ground. Good job on the figure. It's a nice, bold and bright watercolour. I like it. And then this near ground beach, Also little pebbles and things catching the light, a little bit of shadow behind them as well. Yeah, very, very nice indeed. And good background hills. Yeah, really good. Well done, Sarah. And should. Now this is a nice take on the scene. This is quite mysterious. You've gone for a very soft and lighter top third. Well, the whole painting is quite soft and light, but I do like the way that you've done the background. We can just about make out the vague outline of the castle there on the left-hand side. And then coming towards, you haven't gone for those big darks. Maybe we're a little bit dark there at the bottom of the hull, maybe a little bit dark there at the bottom of that hull. But the way that you've kept it all nice and soft, melting into each other, the right-hand side, you haven't gone dark there as well as I did. I think it really, really works for a very atmospheric painting. And then this pathway here, you picked up the detail of those supports there, strengthening that retaining wall, these little bits that jut out. I think that's very effective also. And a little bit of white paint there, just to give it that feeling of a bit of disturbance in the water, turbulence in that water. And the way that you've also continue with a bit of detail to some of those boulders and the way they overlap each other and slabs and stones on that beach. I think it's a lovely interpretation of the scene. Well done, Should. Fantastic. Suzanne. Yeah, lively brush marks. For example, the darkness of that boat there. Strictly speaking, maybe not, it's pointing up. It should be perhaps a little bit more horizontal. But from a statement point of view, making the big, bold statement there, and then that darker splodge there, the darkness of the water coming out from the tunnel, that tunnel there. Yeah, perhaps the perspective isn't quite right in that we would be maybe just a little bit more level here and then snaking around. Like the figure as well. Perhaps the figure might be a bit too big for the scene. The figure could be a tiny bit smaller. But a nice, lively interpretation of the scene. And again, a different style, certainly different to Shurd's that we just had before. Well done, Suzanne and Tarun. Yeah, now you've moved the yacht to the right-hand side. Very, very good indeed. Kept the background nice and soft and light. Pushes it back. Good job on the painting of the trees. Perhaps these masts could be, these masts here, they stand out just a little bit too much. Perhaps a little bit too dark, too perfect, and that whiter edge. So just consider a little bit more of a looser approach to some of those lines there. Do a lost and found where it's like a dotted line for the rigging. That will give the sense of the thinness of that, of the rigging, and maybe the little bit of light and shadow as we're going down the length of it. The figure is fantastic, walking into the scene, sense of movement, carrying a bucket, which you probably would do, or a bucket of paint or something like that. Excellent. And a few boats there. Haven't bothered with that building on the right-hand side, doesn't need it. Yeah, nice one, Taryn. Thank you. Has Taryn done a couple there? Okay. And Tim C. Right. Yeah, I like those two figures there. They really are catching the light with a little bit of lighter edge to them. The shadows as well, connecting to them. You've kept that yacht is beautiful. The way that you've got the brighter sort of lemony, buttery yellow coming down into that warmer colour for the hull. Very, very nice indeed. Nice brush marks with the lighter white colour. Just be careful not to go a little bit too thick on some of those brighter lines. And the background, hills, trees, beautifully done, not overworked. Nice brush marks also, sense of movement around the outer edge of those trees. Different shades of green as well. Cools, bit of blue there, bit of blue there. Bit of a warmer green here. Yeah, beautiful, well done. Thanks, Tim C. Tony. There we go. Tony, yeah. Now with the trees, trying to make them too perfect, all right? And maybe could space them out just a tiny bit more, but a lovely painting of the yacht there in the middle. Yours is quite bold and bright, like a few others. You've gone for those bolder shapes. Figure is very good. Just watch with the head being a tiny bit too big, but the figure's really good, nicely placed as well. Nothing's overworked here. You've got a nice smooth application of these different washes: the sky, the background hills, the woods there, and the middle ground and foreground. Nice handling of the wash and leaving out just little specks here for the lighter bits of buildings and so on. Yeah, so it's a nice, fresh watercolor, I would say. Perhaps it could do with a bit more detail in some places, like on this pathway here. Perhaps there could be just maybe a railing or a fence, or maybe some more lines across, just to add a little bit more interest to that. But a lovely, bold, fresh, bright watercolor. Well done. Thanks, Tony. And I think Victor's is the last. Yeah, very lively. I like the way these brush marks here these brush marks there, and they sort of, there's general marks going up the tree there, that one there, a bit of splattering going on. You're using a lot of different effects, different watercolor effects in this. Not sure about the boat in its symmetry, and perhaps the hull is just a little bit too deep, or the top cabin looks a little bit too high as well. But it's certainly got that boat type shape. Good figures. Again, avoid, like a few other people, just avoid that bit of lightness around the edge of those figures. But on the whole, those figures are good, just the right size of those figures as well. And you've got that snaking path coming around, nice amount of detail on the top of that pathway also. That boat on the right-hand side could be just a little bit lighter, would make it stand out a bit more against the background. But a beautiful painting. Nice as I say, nice brush marks on the foliage there, Victor. So if you'd like to take part in these events, and also if you want to, you don't have to, but if you submit your painting to me for a critique, then please go to my event page, which is www.crowdcast.io/@Tim Wilmot, or you can go to my website. I've got a couple of websites going at the moment: timwilmot.com and also timwilmotartist.com. You'll see all the details of future events up there, or sign up on my mailing list as well. You'll be able to get that from the website. But thanks for, if you stuck it through all of those paintings, let me know which ones you like and why. But all super paintings, lots of different styles as well. Some going for more of a softer approach, some going for more of a tighter approach. But a lot of different watercolor techniques being shown there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you on the next video as well. Getting quite a few videos out at the moment, but catch up with the next video, and hopefully see you on one of my workshops as well. Love to see you take part. Thanks very much indeed. Catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.